All right. Welcome, everybody. Happy Wednesday. My thought for you today is I've been meditating on this concept, right? We're at the time of the year where we have the beginning of our celebrations of, the light that is revealed as the world gets darker, right? So you're going to start to see that that's what our holidays start to represent. And we have it represented in nature, right? Our days are shorter, our nights are longer. And in the kind of yogic perspective of what we're asked to do with that is to continuously be looking for the source of the inner light, right? That exists, even though the mind is constantly in this state where maybe it gets cast in shadows. And so I've been meditating on sort of this concept that, the idea of a shadow is simply that if there's a you that is standing in the midst of that light, that illuminating experience, is that however it is that you're standing, whatever angle you are to it, whatever relationship you have to it, is going to cast the shadow. Right. And then as energy people, or we look at that and we say, oh my gosh, I have so many shadows. There's so much darkness in my mind. There's so much darkness in my experience. We start to get all upset. We forget that it's happening from within us, right? That it's not an outside force that's making that happen. It's not an outside force that's creating that. It's that it's us, right? It's our relationship with this concept of light. It's our relationship with our concept of what enlightenment is, illumination is, kindness is, compassion is. It's our relationship with that and with the world that determines whether we feel we're living in light or shadow, right? And that any moment that you change your relationship to it is that concept of where your shadows are changes, right? So whether you are in shadow or enlightenment is something that is determined completely within you. That's our practice. And so when we're asked to celebrate that inner light, right, it doesn't mean that we just kind of bypass the dark or we ignore it, but we look straight to it as the thing that says that if we look at it and we turn around, then we see how we're casting that shadow. And that becomes the place where we then understand the light in its fullness, right? There's no more me standing in the middle of it or me standing in the way of it, right? So my suggestion to you, right, the practice is that we're asked to look at the source of our own darkness as coming from us, not from outside. And then to use that as the fuel, to use that as the understanding, to really grasp what that inner light is. Because otherwise we treat it as this very beautiful concept that's far away. We treat it as this beautiful idea that, yeah, there's an inner light in me somewhere, in the midst of the rest of the mess that's there. Maybe it's there somewhere, but we don't identify with it. We don't connect to it, right? So how do we get to that feeling that there's no light that I'm reaching for? There just is the experience of illumination. We got to look at our shadows, right? And by looking at our shadows, again, it's not to get, upset about them or to get depressed about it, right? Because we can do that too. We can look at our inner stuff and be like, oh man, it's so much work to do. Or we can look at it and say, there's a little bit that I can do every day to keep turning this around into something that illuminates me, right? And so we have things given to us in the Yoga Sutras, lots of tools given in the Yoga Sutras for this. But where I'm going in my own practice, and I'm dragging you along with me, is the yamas and niyamas, right? So that's what we're going to work with a little bit today. Let your eyes close. And just for a moment, as you are in your own inner world, what do you perceive that to be? Right? When you go inside, do you have an experience of light? What does that mean? Is it a feeling of being lit up inside, or is there a feeling of heaviness? Is there an actual experience of almost light behind your eyes, or does it look like you're stumbling around in a dark room? Right? Does it feel like an easy place to be inside? Or does it feel like you want to run the other way? So when we talk about the yamas and niyamas, these are ethical things that we're asked to work with to kind of set our relationship with the world and with ourselves right. So when we get confused, it's a way of reminding us that this is what you can do to reset that relationship. And we do the yamas first. That's our relationship to the outside world, how we interact with others. And then we go to the niyamas, which is our relationship with ourself. And we think that, okay, well, you can start really working on the niyamas after you've kind of figured out how to be in the outside world. I don't think so. I think we got to learn how to be in here. So notice for just a moment what it's like to be inside, even if you're like, man, there's a lot of work to do in there. A little bit every day is how we shift that shadow into a place where it is simply illumination, simply understanding. And then as you're noticing that, let the hands be on the knees or the thighs. Just start to cat-cow your spine, making the movement as big or as little as you'd like, but letting your breath move you. So rephrase it that way. Then instead of you saying, well, cat-cow means I push my spine this way and then I push my spine the other way, and I happen to be breathing. Let your breath move you into the inhale, into that upward lift of the chest, the lengthening of the spine. And then as your exhale relieves or it leaves you, you collapse in, you soften into that roundness of the back body. Good. So the relationship that we have, if we're always pushing and pulling, we're going to feel that we're always being pushed or pulled. Even our own spiritual practice will do that to us. So can you start to look at how to find that easeful relationship with yourself as you're moving? Good. And then start to come to stillness again, where you feel the crown of the head is settled over the seat in an easeful way, a natural way. And then stretch the arms up alongside your ears, reaching straight up. Today is 11:11. And they say the symbology of that is that it makes you the channel straight to heaven, right? Heaven to earth. So hug those arms like it's the number 11. Like you literally are that channel that says, I will pull from the highest vibrations, the highest ethers, the highest whatever you want to imagine it is. I will bring it down into my reality, whatever my reality happens to be. Good. And then bring your palms together overhead if you can, or just fingertips, and then slide those hands straight down the center line till they rest at the heart. And we'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. Come forward onto hands and knees. Go ahead and start to circle your hips. Yeah, whatever direction you'd like. Good. So probably those of you who have been practicing for a while, if I gave you a pop quiz and I said, name one of the yamas, you could probably do it, even if it's only one. But if I do a second, more complicated pop quiz and I say, name one of the niyamas, you'll probably look at me with a blank stare. Move your hips the other way. Good. We somehow bypass them a lot, right? Because the yamas are enough work, right? They're challenging. And there are plenty to keep us occupied. Your whole life, you can work with just one. But if you're not also looking at the relationship that you have with you, your own inner world, then your shadows, right? The way that you are perceiving wisdom, illumination, understanding, what you're doing with it is going to stay exactly the same. Start to move that cat-cow position in now. So keep circling your hips, but add in the lift of the chest and the roundness. So you're doing like cat-cow and hip circling at the same time. Good. And then maybe move yourself the other way again. Move the hips the opposite direction again. Yeah. And don't get caught up in if you're doing both sets of actions equally. Good. And then come back to stillness, please. Nice job. Spread your fingers wide, tuck the toes, and then lift the hips up into downward facing dog. Nice. Good, you guys. Take the right leg up and back behind you. Down dog split, reaching out through that heel. Extend. Beautiful. And then step that foot forward between the hands. Lunge. Good. Inhale, both arms to the sky. High lunge, please. Beautiful. Stretch the arms out wide, letter T. Take the left arm on top of the right, wrapping the forearms for eagle. So you're in high lunge, but the arms are in eagle pose. Good. So you're pressing the forearms together. Draw your armpits back. Nice. Then draw the throat back. Drop your chin towards your chest, but lift your chest up a little higher. Beautiful. And then breathe in, lift the elbows a little higher, please. And then exhale, round into your back. Take your elbows in towards your belly. Pull the armpits up to the sky. Awesome. And then inhale, back up. Lift those elbows a little higher. Nice. And then exhale, curl in, bring the elbows down and in. Keep the feet squeezing towards each other. Good. And one more time, inhaling the arms up. Good. Release that twist of the arms to the sky. Again, like that number 11, hug the forearms. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight, Parsvottanasana. Good. Nice, you guys. Keeping the hips facing straight ahead. Hug your feet towards each other, round into the lowest space of your back. Awesome. Take one more breath. And then step your left foot forward alongside your right, standing forward fold. Beautiful. Bend your knees, drop your seat, take your arms up for chair. Good. Reach back behind you, interlace your fingers out the low spine in chair pose. Good. So the upper arms hug, but your ribs pull in, your navel pulls up. Push your butt back in space, you guys. So more weight in your heels. There you go. But then lift your chest again. Waha. There we are. And then drop your chin towards your chest a little more so your neck is not craning. Good. Awesome, you guys. And then go ahead, take your butt to the sky, drop your head, forward fold, take the arms up and over any amount. Good. This relationship that you have with your body, the first of the Niyamas is Saucha, right? It's often translated as purification. Release the hands down to the floor, please. Take your right hand to your left ankle, left arm to the sky, spinal twist. Push your inner thighs wide. Good. Scoop your low belly, push your butt to the sky, and stack that left rib cage. Nice, Laura. Good. Release and switch. Left hand to right ankle. Right arm comes to the sky or to your lower back. Again, if reaching the arm up causes a feeling of restriction, keep the hand at the low back. Good. Push your inner thighs wide. Work at stacking the rib cage, not pulling the arm back more, but moving your belly in and stacking the ribs. You got it. Nice, Anju. And then release that hand down to the floor, please. Good. Separate your feet as wide as your mat, toes facing straight ahead. Bend your knees so your thighs parallel the floor. Walk your fingers forward, please. Cat-cow your spine, keep your hips low. Good. Big toe mounds anchor to the floor, but your inner thighs are pushing wide. Awesome, you guys. So Saucha is this concept that as we keep aligning ourselves with what is very uplifting, we align ourselves with what is very illuminating, with things that are not going to energetically drag us down, is that physically our own mind and body will start to reject what doesn't work for us. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Walk your hands back in, take your legs to straight and bow. You know, the idea that you actually have the ability to tell the difference between what's good for you and what's bad for you. It has nothing to do with what you like. Heel toe your feet a little closer, please. Good. Take your right leg up and back behind you, standing split. I know it's an obnoxious way to get into standing split. Good. Nice, you guys. Hands touching something, floor or blocks. Come up on the tippy toes of your left foot. And as you come up on your tippy toes, scoop your belly, squeeze your feet towards each other. Good. And then drop your chest a little deeper. Yeah. And then let that left heel touch down to the floor while you still really reach through the right thigh. Good. And then step all the way back. Nice long lunge, please. Beautiful. And then inhale the arms up to the sky, high lunge. Good. I know we're getting somewhere because you're all taking your sweatshirts off. Yay. Take your arms wide, letter T. Right arm crosses over top of left in front of your chest. Wrap the arms for eagle. Good. And then you're inhaling, right? Lifting the elbows just a little bit higher, chest up. And then exhaling, bringing the elbows down and in, rounding into the back body. Good. And then coming back up to center, inhaling, lifting the elbows up to the sky, and then exhaling, curling in. So what's interesting to me is, is the yamas and the niyamas, they always make so much sense. You look at them and you're like, why wouldn't anyone not want to do that, right? Take the elbows up. Good. And then one more time, draw in, exhale, squeeze in. But if we have a challenge with any one, it's because there's something in us that needs to shift. Come all the way back up. Take the arms to the sky, hug the upper arms like, again, that number 11, squeeze in and pull up. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Awesome. Step your right foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight, Parsvottanasana. So it's an interesting little exercise to say that if there's a positive end of any of these teachings, is that what would the natural reverse of that be? Because whatever that natural reverse is in your mind is probably the place that you're moving from, right? It's going to be your resistance. So Saucha, the idea of purity, aligning myself with what is very uplifting, with what is very freeing, with what is, heart opening and complete and all of that stuff, is why would I not want to do that? What's in it for me to hang on to my suffering, to hang on to my challenges, to hang on to my bad habits? What's in it for me? Because that's the reason why we're going to continue to struggle to break those patterns, right? So it has nothing to do with anything outside of us. It's just what's in you that is the shadow that you're seeing. That you can move. Good. Step that right foot forward alongside your left, standing forward, fold. Feet underneath the hips, bend your knees, drop your hips, take your arms up for chair. Good. And then take your hands back behind you again, interlace the fingers, upper arms squeeze together. Yeah. Lift your belly up off your thighs, take your butt back a little more, but then start to lift your chest, lift your shoulders, almost vertical. Awesome. And then start to take your butt to the sky, straighten the legs, drop your head, come into your forward fold, stretch the arms up and over any amount. Keep your feet really awake here. You're still reaching through the length of your legs. Good. Laura, send your left chest forward more. There you go. Nice. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good job, you guys. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Take your right hand to your left ankle. Left arm to the sky, spinal twist. So these twisting poses, right? A lot of this working in the creases of the joints is meant to help us move what is stagnant, right? Free the body of toxins and accumulated things that need to be moved. Release and switch, left hand to right ankle, left arm to the sky. But we can move all of the toxins out of the body and the mind will create more, right? The relationship that you have with you is where the pain comes from, where the challenge comes from. So can you align yourself with what is good for you from a basic place of saying, I love this body and this mind with all of its confusion. I love it. Come back to center, please. Release the hands. And if that thought is a struggle for you, that you come up with all the reasons why you shouldn't or don't love this body and this mind, there's your work. That's Saucha. Heel toe your feet a little closer, please. Feet underneath your hips. Left leg comes up and back behind you, standing split. Good. Hands touching something, either the floor or blocks. Come up on the ball of that right foot. Scoop your belly. Press that heel higher. Good. And then feel as though you're squeezing the feet towards each other, the ankles towards each other, even though you're still reaching the thighs away. Nice. And then release that heel back to the floor. Please keep reaching through the left leg. Awesome. And then step it all the way back. Nice long lunge. Good. And then sweep that, step back to downward facing dog, actually. Just come back to down dog. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Rising up for cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Good. And then press back downward facing dog. Nice. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. Good. Really reaching out through that heel, so full length. Good. And then step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Nice. Inhale the arms to the sky, high lunge, arms up. Beautiful. And then take your hands back behind you, interlace the fingers at the low spine again. Squeeze those upper arms, take your chest forward, parallel to the floor. Step up, warrior three. Good. So again, these choices of these poses, right? The big muscle poses, the balancing poses, the doing everything with your arms behind your back. Tapasya. How do I deal with irritation? How do I deal with finding the edges of me and not getting into a place of just resisting? Good. Kick that thigh a little higher. Lift your chest a little higher. Yeah, nice, Kristen. Beautiful. And then step all the way back to high lunge. Hands still back behind you. Deep breath in. Hands still back behind you. And then bow inside the front thigh, arms up and over any amount. Good. Maybe you love this arm position. So maybe bend your elbows a little bit more so that you're not in that locked position, a little bit less comfortable. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Right hand plants, left arm to the sky, twist. Yeah, squeeze that left butt cheek in. Beautiful. And then release the hand down to the floor. Look forward, walk forward, step up to standing split. Right thigh parallels the floor. Good. And then right hand stays on the floor or a block. Take your left hand to your left hip, revolved Ardha Chandrasana. Stack your left rib cage on top of your right. Open. Good. You got to keep kicking that right thigh higher. Yeah. That weird place of being in between all of that effort and being fully invested at the same time, being the point of balance. This is Tapasya. How do I deal with conflicting and oppositional energy pulling at me? Awesome. Release that arm to the floor, please. Step yourself back, nice long lunge. Drop the back knee, both hands inside the front foot. Walk to the upper right-hand corner of your mat. Drop to your forearms if you'd like. I'm considering this a resting pose. I don't know what you're considering it as. You look at me like I'm nuts. Yeah. Tapasya, heat. Right? That's one of the translations for it. It's the heat that you build when you are really, really have a strength of conviction, when you're really serious about what you're doing, you're really committed. And that heat has the ability to drive us into anger or frustration, righteousness. It also has the ability to drive us in the direction of really letting us go past what we thought was our edge, what we thought was the end of us. So it's a place of being powerful and being comfortable being powerful. And at the same time, knowing that that power doesn't have to corrupt you, right? Right back to Saucha. Good. Walk yourself back up, please. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose. Lower down slow. Good. Forehead to the floor. Take your hands behind your head, elbows wide. Good. Pressing the feet down into the floor. Lift the elbows up. Good. And then thighs press down. Lift head, neck, and chest. Keep your gaze down. Push your head up into your hands. So you're really experiencing, again, my upper back. Good. And then release, please. Nice job. Press up to hands and knees. Come back, child's pose. Again, I'm not a cruel individual. That's often how we experience Tapasya, right? It's how do you stay cool under pressure? Walk yourself to the right, please. Good. Walk back to center. Go to your left. Walk back to center. Good. Walk your hands in. Come to sit either on your heels or between your heels. You can bring the knees closer together and then pause for a moment. Just sit. and revisit that inner landscape. Good. The relationship you have with you. What kind of attitudes do you align yourself with, and what are you getting out of it? How convicted and committed are you to the life that you're living? And where do you give yourself way too many places where you take the easy way out? Right? You're looking at where is the shadow in you for whatever is the light that you're seeking. Just come this way. Have fun. And then let your eyes float open, please. Come back to hands and knees. Whatever you discovered or didn't discover, don't dwell on it. Downward facing dog. Good. Step the right foot forward between the hands. I believe that should be your second side. Inhale the arms up to the sky. If I'm wrong, tell me. Good. Reach back behind you. Interlace your fingers at the low spine. You know, you're like, I can't even remember what we're doing. Chest up. Good. Lean forward. Torso parallels the floor. Step up to warrior three, please. Left thigh parallels the floor. Good. Flex that foot a lot. So Emily, flex the foot. Really use the toes. You got it. Lisa S. Try and point your pelvis down towards the floor more. Yep. Good, good, good. Chest up, Susan. Yes. And then step all the way back, please. High lunge. Keep the hands clasped behind you. Deep breath in. Good. And then exhale, bow inside the front thigh. Take the arms up and over any amount. Nice. Be mindful with it. Keep the chest lifted. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Beautiful. Walk yourself, spinal twist. Left hand plants, right arm to the sky. Open first. So again, to remind yourself that you were just squeezing behind your back, will now open your chest. Get broad across the space at the back of your heart. Good. And then release that hand to the floor, please. Walk your fingertips straight ahead. Step up, standing split. Left thigh parallels the floor. Good. And hands are touching something, floor or blocks. Left hand stays where it is. Right hand comes up to either your right hip or up to the sky. Turn your belly to the right. Revolved Ardha Chandrasana. Good. You're lifting from your rib cage. Nice, Sandy. Bring your right hand forward a little bit more. Arm forward. That's it. And then throat back. Good. Release that hand down to the floor. Nice job, you guys. Step back. Nice long lunge. Drop the back knee. Bring both hands inside the front foot. Walk to the upper left-hand corner of your mat. Drop down to your elbows or stay on blocks or fingertips. Breathe deeply. Settle to just where you are. Another one of your Niyamas, Santosha. Many of you have heard that word before. Maybe you think you know what it means. Translates to contentment. Not happiness, not joy, not excitement, contentment. That whatever comes to me, I will accept, whether I like it or not. Whatever leaves, I will accept, whether I like it or not. I am in that place that is the middle of everything. And so where something rises up in you is resistance to that concept that I can be very much okay with the way things are right this minute. That's your shadow. And it will appear for you in a very unique way. That's the point of this practice, is that you identify what your shadow is, your relationship to this concept of being perfectly okay with the way things are right this moment, knowing that maybe there's things to do in the next moment, but still being okay. Walk yourself back up. Good. Lift that back knee, please. Step back, downward facing dog. Slide forward to plank pose. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Beautiful. Bend both knees, kick your heels in towards your butt. Keep the hands planted alongside your ribs. Press your thighs down so your butt pops up just a little bit. The tops of your thighs move away from the floor. And then scoop your low belly. Try and send your pelvic bones forward. So the front of your pelvis comes forward as your tail pulls back towards your heels. And then drag back on the hands. Lift up head, neck, and chest. Come into cobra with the knees bent. But keep rooting down through the legs. So your knees are pressing down and the front of your pelvis is drawing forward. Good. So you don't want to keep your butt totally popped up, but you want to have this feeling of not pushing hard through the front of the thighs. Good, Kristen, soften those shoulders. Long throat, that's it. And then release. Good job, you guys. Good, take the legs straight back behind you. Come up on your forearm, Sphinx pose. Svadhyaya. A word designed just to make you crazy. Say that to yourself. Svadhyaya. Study of the self. That doesn't mean dissecting of the self. It means really examining what you believe you are and what you believe you aren't. And really examining the judgments you've based upon those thoughts. I am this or I am not that, and therefore. Sometimes it's said Svadhyaya is studying sacred texts. It's almost synonymous, right? You're studying the reality of what you are. Chest up. So I like the symbology, right? The Sphinx in other traditions is the keeper of secrets. Secrets of the human soul. Requires study. You don't know it already. No matter how much you think you know, you don't know it. One more deep breath. And then release down, forehead to the floor. Separate the elbows, make a little pillow with your hands. Breathe deeply. Can you be a witness to your own reactions to the world? And it has nothing to do with how someone else is acting or what the circumstances are. As if you are watching what's happening in you, you can catch the places where you are turning to emotions, or you're turning to thoughts, you're turning to reactions that are painful for you or for someone else. Right back to Saucha. What are you aligning yourself with? And your last one, Ishvara Pranidan. Surrendering to God. Or surrendering to the higher source, surrendering to the energy that is beyond you, surrendering to the self with a capital S. Are you able to be perfectly in the place where you can say, you know what, I really don't understand. And yet there's a part of me that's able to respond differently. Can you step out of your mind? And can you see that there's something in it for you to step out of your mind? That there's a benefit. The greatest gift that you can give is being the very best that is in you, capable of being, even if you don't understand how to do it. Your mind is limited, your soul is not. Ishvara Pranidan. I believe in that unlimited quality. And I can pretend to be it even if I don't understand what it means. And the more I pretend, the more I start to feel that that part of me is real. Walk your hands back, please. Press back to hands and knees. Downward facing dog. So this sounds like a lot of work, right? Any one of these, you're like, my God, I don't get it. What am I supposed to do with that? Good. Right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Nice. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack right hip on top of left, open. Beautiful. And then knee points towards the floor, step the right foot between the hands, lunge. Good. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels the back of your mat, cartwheel the arms up, warrior two. Nice. And then left hand to your left hip, please. You're coming into Ardha Chandrasana, but in, again, maybe an annoying way. So you can place a block in front of you, but how I want you to come into this, right, is the block is there, and you're going to extend your rib cage forward as though you're reaching for like triangle, but your knee is bent. And then you're going to push off of that back leg, and you're going to extend and reach out. Your hand's going to hover for a moment in space before it finds that block. So step up into Ardha Chandrasana. Good. Reaching out into space. And the right hand touches down on the block as the left leg is lifting. Yeah, so not I have my hand firmly planted on a block and then I trust that I can lift my leg. Yeah, play with it the other way. Good. Please wobble. Nice. Ishvara Pranadan, I trust that if I wobble, it's okay. Contentment. If I fall out of this pose, that's fine. Tapas, I'm committed to finding the strength in me to do this. Left arm to the sky when you've got it. Awesome. And then optional, bend that left knee, kick your heel back towards your butt, reach back for the foot or the ankle. Again, I said optional. Good. Notice what you're aligning yourself with. Nice, Lisa S. Lift that inner thigh a little higher. Awesome. Extend all the way back out. Nice, you guys. Good. Scoop your belly, release the left hand to the floor, turn your left toes down to standing split. So just take that left hip to face the floor. Yeah. Beautiful. And then step back to a nice long lunge, dropping the back knee. Use a blanket there if you'd like. Inhale the arms up to Anjaneyasana. And then maybe go for the quad stretch here, bending the back knee, reaching back, either for the same hand for the foot or go for the twist, opposite hand for the foot. If you're feeling super sassy, reach back both hands for the foot. Nice, Harriet. Did it before I even said it. Beautiful, Linda. Nice, Lisa S. Good, Sandy. Beautiful, Kristen, Laura, Anju. Slowly release. Good job, Mark. Release the hands to the floor. You got it. Lift the back knee. Step left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight. Parsvottanasana. Interesting to find, right? You look at the Niyamas, this is a relationship that you have with yourself, your inner world. And if your inner world is a place that you are stable and a place that you are able to explore, you understand it, have a comprehension and awareness of it, then what you do on the outside will maybe not be easier, but maybe more tolerable. Maybe we get more skillful because where we are inside ourselves is now no longer casting shadows on what we're doing outside of ourselves. Good. Step back to downward facing dog. Vinyasa, if you choose, child's pose if you prefer. If you're doing the vinyasa, you're sliding forward to plank, lowering down slow, rising up into cobra with your breath. Downward facing dog. Nice. And if you've been in child's pose, meet us back in down dog. Good. Left leg up and back, down dog split. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Stack the left hip on top of the right. Good. And then scooping the belly, point the knee towards the floor, step the left foot between the hands, lunge. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels the back of your mat, cartwheel the arms up, warrior two. Right? You are the source of your light and the source of your shadow. So whatever you think you want to do, you got to look inside you. Right hand to your right hip, please. Good. Moving towards Ardha Chandrasana, again, where you have to trust that standing leg. Learn to trust that standing leg. You're going to lean your left rib cage forward. Look where you're going. Absolutely look at the floor. But now begin to push off of that back leg, navel to spine. Practice that lifting of the thigh as you bring that hand out and down to find the block. So try to lift the leg before your hand finds the block. Really good, Susan. You got it, Linda. Nice. Yeah. And then when you've got it, right arm can come to the sky. Flex that foot, stacking the rib cage. So right rib cage pulls up, 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 up. Nice. And then the option is to bend the, whatever leg is in the air. Reach back for the foot or the ankle, bend the right knee, reaching back for the foot or the ankle. Good. Chest open. Awesome. Extend it all the way back out, reach. Yeah, and then release that right hand down to the floor, scoop your low belly, turn your hips to face the floor, turn your right toes down, but don't let that thigh fall. That's it. Good, Emily. And then step back, nice long lunge. Good, drop the back knee, use a blanket if you'd like. Inhale the arms to the sky, Anjaneyasana. For a moment, that number 11, squeeze the arms. Pull into yourself something meaningful, anything. Good. And then if you'd like, go for that quad stretch, bending the back knee, reaching with either hand or both to find the foot behind you. Nice, Alice. Good, Laura. Good, Kristen. See, I'm super impressed with anyone who can reach with both hands because my shoulders generally get very mad when I try and do that. Good. Svadhyaya, self-study. What brings you to a free place in you and what drives you to your edge? Slowly come on out. Nice job. Release that foot, release the hands, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose. Lower down slow onto the belly. Nice rise up cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Beautiful. And then release forehead to the floor. Again, make a pillow with your hands if you'd like, or turn one cheek to the side. Maybe even take your arms straight forward in front of you. So again, like that number 11 with the forehead to the floor, this is sort of classic in Hindu tradition, or where, you know, yoga comes from, is this forehead to the floor, arms extended, as this is full prostration. Ishvara Pranidhan. I let go completely of trying to hold myself up as I know myself to be, and instead I let myself become full of whatever else there is behind that wall. And it's funny, in the sutras, Ishvara Pranidhan is mentioned several times, not just as one of the Niyamas. And it's mentioned in a way that says, if you don't know what else to do, do this. If you don't have any better solutions, do this. Practice surrender. The idea that you will be held up if you let go. So it works with that innate protectiveness that our mind has. That innate protectiveness that we call the ego, that says, I like the way that I think of myself and the way that I think of you, and I don't want any of it to change, because if it changes, then I don't know, and I don't like not to know. Thank you very much. And goodbye. So don't just seek out the light, start to identify how you are enacting the shadow. In your own very interesting way. How are you doing it? One more breath, breathing into the back of the body, to the front of the body. Good. And then roll, please. So the legs are extended out behind you. Bring your hands back in. Roll onto your right side, please, so that you are stacking your hips onto the right, or you're leaning on your right hip. Your left hip is stacking on top. Good. The arm can be underneath you, or you can bend the elbow to hold underneath your head, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Good. And then you're going to bring your left knee in towards your chest. Yeah, so the top knee comes in, and you're going to reach for, arm is inside the knee, reach for the ankle or the foot, reach for something. And you're starting to open that knee up towards the ceiling just a little bit. Don't roll backwards though. Keep your hips right on top of each other. Yep, there you go. And then extend that left heel up towards the ceiling. Good, you can absolutely hold behind the thigh. Yeah, but don't let your hips fall back. Yep, you should be balancing still on that right side of your hips, shoulders stacked. If it feels like it's too easy to balance, you know you're rolling backwards. Bring the leg forward more, frustrate yourself. Tapasya. Get to a place where you are really committed to staying in good alignment, even if it means that you can't go as far as your mind wants to go. Good. Nice, you guys. Bend that knee back in towards your chest. Good job. Let the knee fall forward in front of you, so towards the floor, towards your belly. Good. And then start to take that left arm back behind you into spinal twist. So reach the left shoulder back behind you. Good. Any amount that it will go. And again, keep the knee on the floor. So as you reach back, if there's not a lot of give there, stretch the left arm up alongside the ear instead of reaching straight back. Beautiful. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release, coming back to center. Good. And then you're going to roll to the other side. So coming towards the belly, roll onto your left hip. So you're looking for hips and shoulders to be pretty much in the same line with each other. If your feet need to be slightly forward for balance, that's okay. Good. And then again, that left arm can be supporting you either straight under the head. You can bend the elbow to hold the head up, whatever works for you. Right knee comes in towards your chest. Already notice that as you do that, you're automatically starting to roll back on to that fleshy part of your left hip. Roll forward. Send your weight forward. Good. And then reaching for the foot, the ankle, the thigh, whatever you're going to reach for, extend that right heel, that right leg up towards the ceiling. Beautiful. Like your chest is continuously trying to roll forward. Your pelvis is trying to move forward, but that leg is reaching up and slightly wide. Nice. Reclining Vishnu. Good. Active foot, please. Beautiful, you guys. One more breath. Nice, Sandy. And then bring that knee back in towards your chest, please. Let the knee drop forward towards your belly or towards the front of you. And then start to reach your right shoulder back behind you for spinal twist. Good. You can readjust that left arm. And again, as you're reaching back, I want your knee to stay on the floor. So if that means that your shoulder is nowhere near finding the floor, stretch the arm up alongside your ear. Good. And you're still able to relax through the upper back. You're still reaching for the floor, but there's no longer that feeling of I have to push to try and get there. This is santosha, right? That combination where tapasya, I'm committed to building flexibility. I'm committed to whatever it is I'm committed to. And also I have to be perfectly accepting of where I am right now. I'm looking for nothing else except what I have right now. Completely open for what comes in the next moment or what doesn't come in the next moment. Good. I'm just leaving you here because Alice's dog is really comfortable. And then slowly release, please. Unwinding, coming back to your belly. Sorry, puppy dog. Stretch your arms straight out in front of you, forehead to the floor. Stretching through the whole body, point your toes, float your legs up off the floor, lift head, neck, and chest like Superman. Good. Lifting from your armpits, lifting from your thighs. Your arms, your legs like the number 11, 11, 11. I pull through me. Whatever energy it is that I'm seeking, I pull it into my reality. And then I examine how I stand in relationship to it is what's going to feel either like enlightenment or like I'm standing in shadow. Good. And then slowly release. Nice job, you guys. Beautiful. Press up to hands and knees, please. Press back, child's pose. Good. And then walk yourself back up, come to sit. Setting up for Agni Stambhasana. fire log. So we're going to start stacking the right shin on top of the left, ankle to knee if that is possible. If that's not available, you're going to widen the knees so maybe the foot can be in the opposite knee crease. If that still doesn't work with the knees or the hips, then right shin in front of left with the feet flexed. You can absolutely use props underneath the knee to help support it, blocks, blankets, whatever. Keep both feet very awake. So Harriet, yeah, really flex that foot. Good. And then either hands back behind you, just sitting with a tall spine, or if forward folding is possible here, go ahead and let yourself forward fold. Keep your feet very awake. As you fold forward, feel as though the tops of your thighs are dragging down to the floor. Your butt is pressing back. Good. It's very easy with the yamas and the niyamas to look at them. Sometimes people say that they're moral codes that we're supposed to live by. We tend not to use that word because yoga doesn't really, at its core, doesn't apply, or it doesn't put a moral right or wrong on things. It simply says, if you act this way, you're going to get these results. You're probably going to be unhappy. If you act this other way, you are going to get these other results, most likely, and you're probably going to be less unhappy. So what do you want? Right? So it's more of an ethical concept, or it's more of a set of guidelines that says that this is a guidepost to watch how much you contribute to your own suffering. And that there's a little bit that you can do every day to chip away at those relationships that we think are immovable. But it's you standing in the center of that sundial that decides, am I standing in light or am I casting shadow? And there is no one or nothing else that if it changes and you don't, is going to remove that feeling. One more breath. Walk yourself back up. Good. Unwind the legs. So take that right knee a little wider as you come out of the pose. Take both legs out and wide for a moment. Flex your feet. That wasn't a nice face, Mark. Good. Flex your feet, dig your heels down, please, and then walk yourself forward, forward fold with the legs wide. Upavista Konasana. Wide angle. Nice. One more breath. Breathe into your lower spine. And then walk yourself back up. And you're going to set up for fire log on the other side. So the left shin is going to stack on top of the right, ankle to knee if possible. If not, a little wider, foot into knee crease. If not, left shin in front of right, feet flexed. Feet flexed no matter what. Good. And then hands either back behind you, lifting your spine nice and long, or forward fold. So it's easy to look at any of these guideposts, these guidelines, and to start dissecting yourself. That's why I said in the beginning, Svadhyaya is self-study. It's not self-dissection. It's not looking at what's there and deciding that it's so far away from what it should be because you think you're sure what purity means, what contentment means, what discipline or commitment means, what self-study means, what surrender means. So don't do that. Don't dissect yourself. And instead of looking at there's so much light that is eluding me, there's so much of the illumination that I'm not getting, I don't understand. Can you just turn around? Because the only shadow that's being cast is your relationship to these concepts. So whatever your personal shadow version of these things is, that's where you start. Because that's all there is to do. There's nobody else's shadow that you have to conquer. There's nobody else's concept that you have to achieve. Just yours. And there's a little bit that you can do every day. That's why we are given these guideposts. You recognize there's shit going on in here, out there. And what do I do? You look at, what am I aligning myself with? You look at, how well am I accepting here and now? You look at, what do I do when I feel that I'm getting pushed to my edges? You look at, how willing are you to step out of your own mind, to surrender, to trust that there's something bigger. You start to relate to yourself in maybe a little bit of a different way, and the shadows change. Maybe they disappear, maybe they don't, but they change. Walk your hands back up. Slowly unwind, bringing the left knee wide as you come out so that the hip has a chance to release, and then extend the legs out in front of you. Again, nice wide seat. Good, flexing the feet, digging the heels down, stretch your arms up alongside your ears. Good, like that number 11 hug. Yeah, and then start to bow forward, reaching as long as you can. Keep the arms alongside the ears as long as you can. Dig those heels down. The knees can absolutely be bent. Good. And then let the hands touch down and relax into your forward fold. Good. Any given moment, you don't have to do all of the yamas or niyamas, but you pick one. The one that seems to be right in front of you, or the one that calls to you and says, this one I can do. Maybe the others I have no idea, I don't understand, but this one I can do. You do a little bit every day. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. Bring the bottoms of the feet together, please. Baddha Konasana. Bring your feet a little bit further away from your groin than you normally would, so a little bit of a longer diamond. And then walk yourself forward, forward fold, and let your back round. I know I never say that. Sometimes say that. But let yourself hang into your forward fold. Keep your navel engaged so that your low back is supported, but let yourself hang a little bit. Rest on your arms. Don't squeeze so much. Good. And then walk yourself back up. Nice job. Hold the ankles or the feet, balancing on your sit bones. If you have a blanket under you, you might want to move it just so that you have secure balance. Good. And then lift your feet up off the floor. Yep. Beautiful. And laugh about how you don't complain too much about this, but you'd be crying your eyes out if I told you to do both. And then take your legs out wide, balancing straddle. Yeah, maybe you'll cry a little more now that the legs are straight. I'm not trying to get you to cry. Good, chest up. Beautiful. Yeah. Roll towards that front edge of your sit bones. Lift your chest. This is just like you're in that seated forward fold, but now you're balanced on your tailbone, balanced on your sit bones. Awesome. Bring the bottoms of the feet back together, still hovering off the floor, almost. Nice landing. And then bring the feet back down. Drop into Baddha Konasana one more time. If you didn't have fun with that, Svadhyaya, wonder why. How do I stop myself from experiencing joy? What's in it for me to keep doing that? Saucha. We're not talking about purity as though we have to throw out everything that we consider wrong, but we are looking at how do you align yourself with what really brings you freedom? And how often are you choosing things that really don't? And are you able to tell the difference? Walk yourself back up. Good. Scoot yourself forward. Come onto your backs. I know I considered throwing in, 6 arm balances and a couple more inversions, but time is escaping. Good. Bring your knees in towards your chest, please. Stretch your legs straight up to the sky. Take your arms up to the sky. Good. So your armpits are drawing down. Good. Pelvis is pressing down into the floor, arms and legs stretching straight up. Good. Feet should be right over top of your hips. So heels over top of your hips. Kristen, you were good where you were. Bring them a little further away again. Nice. And just stay there and just breathe. Little tapasya, little santosha, little svadhyaya. The longer you hold, the more it has to become Ishvara Pranidan. I get to the edge of what I think I can do on my own. And then I reach for something else. There's the best that I think that I can be with all of my restrictions that I've decided on. And then there's the me that I can be if I just let all of that go. We're not just practicing yoga, we're practicing being human beings. You start to find the edges of yourself and something ridiculous like this. This is not something that you would think of as complicated. If someone said, I'll just lay on your back and put your legs and your arms in the air, not a big deal. But stuff's starting to come up, isn't it? A little bit. Where does your mind go? What is it saying about you? What is it saying about me? What is it saying about the state of the world? I pull into myself. Whatever it is that I am seeking for this world to be, for my own inner world to be, I pull it into reality. Good. Bend your knees, happy baby. Good job, you guys. I know, it sounds stupidly simple to do. It's not simple to do, or it's not easy to do, keeping your legs and your arms up. Awesome. Bring the knees together in front of the chest, squeeze. And then place the feet down on the floor. Set your arms alongside you, either arms straight or into robot arms. Press down. Pressing into the feet, lift the armpits, lift your hips, come into bridge. And can you feel that there is a lengthening of your spine that happens here? So your feet are very firmly rooted and dragging back. Your armpits are very firmly rooted and dragging up. Your throat is long but relaxed. Good. Maybe don't wait for you to master dealing with other people, because they're going to keep pushing your buttons the same way every time. Start to get to know your buttons from the inside. And it's not on the outside that you are going to remove the shadows that you feel. It's from the inside, always from the inside. So it's your inner world that gives you a reality of that inner light or not. Nothing you can do that's going to create it for you if you cannot already find space inside for it to live. One more breath. Don't lose hope. And slowly release all the way back down. Nice job, you guys. Bring the bottoms of the feet together. Let your knees drop wide or stay where you are. Again, you were up for a while. If the lower back felt like it got a little tight in that position, then maybe keep the feet flat. Let your arms go wide, either cactus arms or holding opposite elbows overhead. Or ignore all of that and put your hands on your belly. Who am I, right? Put your arms where you want them. Good. I find it very interesting, right? We try to work from the outside in, and we keep running into the same walls. And how many times are we going to keep banging our head onto it and being like, oh, I didn't do it different again. I did it the same way again. That's not changing. Ow, that still hurts. We're meant to be looking outside and inside simultaneously. But I think for myself, I've looked at the yamas and niyamas 10,000 times, and I always go to the yamas first. Why? It's because they're listed in the book first. Try going in first. Go to the source of your light and your shadow. You are the one who is casting. You are the one who is either experiencing illumination or not. The light is the light. That's what we're taught. Bring your knees back in, please. Good. Take your right ankle over your left thigh. Lift your left shin parallel to the floor. Reach through the hold if you'd like, or leave the hands wherever they are. I think it's very funny as we're coming into this tail end of 2020. And if you remember way back in a whole nother world when we started 2020, what did we call it? Called it the year of clear vision. And now we're like, ugh, it's like the kind of clear vision when you turn on the light and all the roaches go scurrying. Gross. But that's what it means, doesn't it? Clear vision. I stare straight into my own shadows and understand where they're being cast from. Clear vision. I see everything. And by seeing everything, I can discern a way forward that is vastly different from what I might have assumed before. So don't stop looking, but don't just look outside at those shadows because they're very big. Look at the shadows being cast from inside you. Cross the right thigh all the way on top of your left, please, separating the feet, reaching for the ankles or the shins. Good. And then release the legs, please. Take the left ankle over right thigh. Bend the right knee, reaching through to hold or leaving the hands to the side. Say maybe again, you remember at the very beginning of 2020, I made the suggestion that you choose a mantra, a self-created mantra, not necessarily picking a Sanskrit one. Something that was going to remind you to be the best version of yourself that you could be. If any of you did that in the beginning of the year, do you remember what that mantra was, or has it been buried under a whole bunch of other stuff? And if you remember what it is, does it still mean the same thing to you now that it did then? You do a little bit every day. Keep that energy of the mantra alive, to keep that energy of what draws you into your best self alive. Yamas and niyamas are a way to do that. The guideposts, when you forget, you get lost. Slide that left leg all the way on top of the right, separate the feet, reach for the ankles or the shins. Kind of like that we're given the imagery that as the outer world gets dark, it means we're asked to look for that inner light a little harder. And the beauty of that is that no matter how dark it gets, that light is always present. And it really has no possibility of being overtaken unless we close our eyes and refuse to see it. Unwind your legs, please. Squeeze the knees in, forehead up to meet your knees. Good. And then release, stretching the legs out in front of you. If you feel you need a final spinal twist, go ahead and take it. Otherwise, stretching the legs out, letting the feet drop wide, arms alongside you, palms up. So if you can pick just one of the concepts I've thrown at you today, or you can look them up later, the Niyamas. Pick one to fool around with. Pick the one that seems like it's not so far away from you. And a little bit every day, work with your own shadows. Very gently allow your breath to begin to deepen, letting the body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw the knees in towards your chest. Roll to your right side. And take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm, or whatever mudra has been serving you well. And imagine for a moment that at that heart center, there's a flame. However you want to imagine it, big, little, candle, lighthouse, anything, bonfire. That flame is one that was lit before you were born, and there's nothing that can extinguish it. So we're asked to look for that inner light. We're asked to look for that part of us that is never extinguished. And that however big the shadows are on the outside, look inside to shift them. Because it's a more powerful place. It's always a more powerful place. So as the outside world gets darker, metaphorically, physically, however you want to think of it, you turn more and more to that light inside as refuge, and also as a place where you are empowered to illuminate what's in front of you, inside of you first, then outside. But you are the one that stands in your own light. And how you stand in it, how you perceive it, determines whether you are enlightened or if you're casting shadows. But all you have to do if you feel like you're in shadow is turn around. It's behind you. We'll close with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week till I see you again. Keep your heads up. Maybe by next week, we'll have this class open for in person if that's something of interest to you, but not yet, but soon we will. And you gotta unmute yourself to talk to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dharma.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank
Having
you.
fun with it. Yamas and niyamas can be like, punching yourself in the face, but they're good. They're powerful, but they're aggravating.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
You're
Have
welcome.
a great
Good night, you
night.
guys.
Hope your dinner's good.
Me too. We'll see if you followed instructions properly. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Bye-bye.